All right, here it is, the finale on the 62. We are closer than we have ever been before. Wow, that's a big surprise, isn't it? So we're very close. We don't have much to do. First thing we're gonna address is putting the column in so it is drivable. And then after that, we're going to get it aligned, and then we're gonna go for a drive. What in the world?
Got my moped out here.
Let's not waste any time, let's go. We got the chrome steering column installed into it, and we got the original steering wheel put back onto the column, and it looks really good. Good choice, Mark. It looks really good. And the master mechanic cleaned up the steering shaft. You can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to see, but it looks better than it did before.
It's easier to see in person for sure. The videos don't do it justice, but
it never does, man.
I just shortened it up a little bit, repainted it.
So now we're gonna put the hood back on, and we want to start it up, and we want to show you how much better it runs now. We did a little bit of tuning off camera. We changed the jets on it, and we put a smaller squirter on it so it's not dumping raw fuel. We pretty much leaned it out. We took fuel away from it, so there's less fuel to it, so it runs better. So let's put this hood on and we'll show you. Man, look at that. Haven't seen the hood on it in a long time. So we're gonna drive it over to the alignment place. It's a little out. You can't really tell on the video. I was gonna say riced out, but that's this way. So, but it's laying this way. Kind of like if you're up on the hydraulics on a lowrider, it's like that. Well, this doesn't have hydraulics, I'm just saying. The alignment shop isn't too far, so it should be just fine. So go ahead, master mechanic. I don't know if you can hear, but it still has the exhaust leak. We're gonna deal with that later on. Yes, sir, here we go. First time getting pulled out of the shop in 6 months? No, 5 months.
You must be rich.
Oh, honey, he's teasing you. Nobody
pays $6 a gallon for gas.
The Impala is back in the shop. Back from alignment, it drives really good, but an issue has arisen that was completely uncalled for. What is that issue that has arisen?
So we got a problem with the transmission. We got like 2 neutrals and reverse binds up. So we never drove this car before we started working on it. When we picked it up, we drove it into the trailer, and then we got here, we unloaded it, just pretty much drove it into the shop. So we never drove it front and back, anything around the block to see what was going on with it. Supposedly the transmission was replaced before we picked it up, so we didn't know anything about it. So when we went to back it out to get the car aligned, it didn't want to back up. It like locks up, and sometimes when you go to start it, it binds up like it's in gear when it's in park. So we got some problems with the transmission.
Dude!
So I'll show you what it's doing, how it locks up in reverse. The overdrive, so it's a 700, is like a neutral. So it goes neutral and you put it in drive, and it's a neutral, so you gotta drive it in third just to go anywhere. And if you back up, you gotta go really slow, like super slow, or else it'll bind. So let me show you. I'm gonna back it up here, and I'll show you what it's doing. So it makes it worse when it's island high, so let it warm up here a little bit. I don't wanna get too hot though. So we go put it in reverse. See if we go to back up like a normal thing. Oh, it's gonna go right now. Oh, we got a car coming. Hold on. See, there's drive right there. Oh man. See, now it's bound up. So that's in reverse right there. I give it gas. See, it's like a trans brake's on. There's neutral, there's park. So now we're in park. Go to reverse. Right? Go to go. Now it'll go. Just did it that one time. It's actually being very nice right now. It's probably because it's colder. So this is a tranny and converter that we decided to go with. And part of my decision of going with this transmission and converter is because it was in stock. It's okay. It's a TCI transmission. For the application, it worked just great. So it just showed up the other day. A 700 R4.
Wow.
This is a lockup transmission. So it's a shorter of the shafts, tail shafts. There's a couple different options on the tail shaft. And then the converter I went with was a Fuse Performance, and it is a lockup converter. So if you don't want it to be a lockup transmission, then you just don't give the solenoid the voltage and ground that it needs to be a lockup. So lockup only saves you like a couple of 100 RPMs. It more determines, is more of a factor of the converter stall. So if you have a higher stall, then you want to go more with a lockup. But being that it's a stock stall, it's not going to make much difference. So it's up to you if you want to have a lockup or not. With just a stock 12-inch, this is a 30 spline converter. 700s have a 27 or 30 spline transmission, so we got to double check that. So 30 spline tranny, 30 spline converter. Probably going to pull the pan before I take it out, just to drain the fluid for one, and then see if there's any crazy debris in the pan. The 62s are kind of nice because, like we showed before, the exhaust comes out to the outside of the frame, so I don't have to deal with the exhaust, so it's just a center, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
All right, we got the tranny pulled out of this thing. Here it is right here. It fought us like crazy, so we didn't really record it, but here is the tranny that wouldn't seem to go in reverse very well. We pulled the pan off of it, and there was like there was metal. It was kind of like, metallic-y looking, a little shiny, but it wasn't like metal chunks like we were thinking it was gonna be. And there was no voltage to the solenoid on this tranny, so it wouldn't lock up. There was no lockup, I should say. Not it wouldn't lock up. It did lock up in reverse. It wouldn't go back, but there's no lockup in the other way. No converter lockup. So here's the fluid that came out of the tranny. And I don't know if you could tell or not. You can kind of tell. It almost looks like sand. How it's like metallic-y and I don't know why it looks all ripply, but definitely doesn't look right by any means. Tranny definitely has something going on with it. Oh yeah, you can see better now at the bottom of the pan. All the metallic-y stuff right there. Something definitely wasn't right. So yeah, now we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this thing. But until then, let's unwrap the new one and let's put it in.
Well, we got it done. As much as you guys enjoy watching us work, you didn't get to see it, but the tranny was a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a bear. I think a lot of it had to do with dipstick and some of the parts that the previous people used to install it, but it was a tight fit on the tunnel. But we got it in there. We got it done. And it drives nice. We'll drive it again here in a minute. You can go for a ride too, but got the tranny in. We didn't wind up doing the lockup to it. We just have it with the overdrive. And like I said, it seems to drive good. So we got pretty much the whole car, what we're doing right now to it, all finished up. You may notice here my little hood prop rod. The hood was hard to open, so I lubed the hinges, and now the hood won't stay open. It kept falling on me.
You even have your name on it so you don't forget it's yours.
That's because I went somewhere and had to sweep one day. I don't want somebody to steal my broom. But yeah, so what do you think? We got it all done here. Got it all finished up. So just a couple minor odds and ends that we finished. We added the battery hold down when we got the car. Didn't have one, so we got him a battery hold down. This battery is a little bit taller than what should be in here from the factory, so I had to add a little bit of a spacer. But it does clear the hood and everything. So if you ever change the battery, we just drop that down and have to shorten the other side here. I just made a little hold down here. This is just a piece of all thread, and I just put a little sleeve over it to clean it up a little bit. Turned out pretty trick. Make it look a little factory, a little nicer. So we did that. We added the bracket like we talked about. I just did a little straight piece. It seems to hold the hoses nice, to keep them out of the belt. So they're all tucked away now. We got plenty of room in here. So I got all the air conditioning, all the wiring done. I had to add a relay because of the electric fans. It didn't come with that wired into the kit. So I have it set up that we have the pressure switch here. So when the pressure gets too high because of the heat, it needs to pull air across the condenser. So it grounds the relay. So the relay just pretty much grounds the two relays that are already here for the fans. So that's all this is doing, is just grounding. It's making another ground for the temperature switch, and then just grounds the relays. They came with the fans, is all this relay does. If you had a mechanical fan, you wouldn't have to worry about that, but that's one of the things we had to add because of the electric fans. But so we had the relay, we got the wiring all done for the wiring going through the firewall. Got our grommet in there. We got everything pretty much situated and pretty much where it's going to be.
So after installing the AC on this here 62 Impala, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I liked, other than the little firewall cover plate here, I like how everything turned out. It turned out really nice for the bracketry and everything. The one thing I don't really care about is inside the whole vent that's mounted under the dash for the vents. The system as a whole works really good. The air, it blows really cold, it blows very forceful. So I mean, it works good. The appearance is kind of eh. But let me show you. Let's go inside here. So here it is. This is what I was talking about. See how they add the vents on the bottom here? They got this whole plastic panel, and then there's this gap here, but then the vent hose, you can't tuck it anywhere else, so it hangs down. I mean, you can't really see it, but you can kind of see it. If you're sitting in the passenger seat, you can see it. But then you have the one vent over here. I mean, this isn't too bad, I guess, because it's all one continuous piece, but you got this one lonely vent over here. It makes it a little tacky. Glove box really shrinks down compared to the stock one. You can barely get a couple pieces of paper in there and a phone charger.
Why would you do that?
A lot of ducking hoses behind here, so it takes up all the space. It's a real pain to get all the hoses on it. And then this one here, I have it ran right here for that vent, and it says in the instructions to run it over the top. The vent is huge. I just didn't see it happening, so I ran it there and I tucked it in behind this. So I guess tomato, can't see it either way. And then the heater controls. So originally this one would be the blower speed. They changed around the configuration a little bit. So to make this one the fan speed. So there's only 3 that do anything. This one's temperature, so this one, so whichever way you're looking at it, from the left to the right, is not used. The next one over is your fan speed, and then the next one over is your temperature. So down, they have down AC and up heat. And then they have this one's defrost. So down would be defrost. But other than that, like I said, it blows really good. It blows cold. It has a lot of air, a lot of force. It seems like it'd be nice. I mean, you're cruising down the freeway, maybe bumping your music or something. At least it'd be cool. Overdrive, got your tilt wheel. You know how Mark could be rolling. Mark could be cruising, man. We still got to clean it, but we're going to go drive it first. We can go fill it up for good old Mark. He's picking this thing up tomorrow. Tomorrow to us. I don't know if it's tomorrow to you, but we're going to get it ready for him. We're going to clean it up, gas it up. Let's go for a ride.
As we take the 62 Impala for a drive in good old Doug DeMiro fashion, we're going to give this a ZHP score.
And then I'll give it a Doug score.
There's going to be 5 categories we're going to use to rate this car. 1, how prominent is this as an American classic? 2, how is the drivability of the car? 3, how is the interior space and room and functionability of the car? 4, how does it handle on the road and drive down the street? Does it drive good down the street? And 5, performance. Can it keep up with traffic? Can it merge onto the freeway easy? Can it beat an STI? We shall see. No idea what to say right now.
We're gonna go put some gas in this thing. We're gonna go for a cruise.
Well, we have been to this gas station already once in this video.
We like it that much. Some real tornadoes right there.
So going off what the master mechanic was saying earlier, here is your instructions on how to operate your AC. So you got right here, original blower switch will not be used, which is the heat one. So you have blower speed, temperature control, and your mode control. So AC operation, pretty plain and simple, fan and air, you press all the way down. Heat operation is really confusing. You press fan all the way down, then defrost at half. Like, Okay. And then defrost, you do the fan and defrost all the way down, which makes sense. So it's like kind of confusing. I guess you'll get used to it as you go, but it's definitely confusing to start with.
Yes, sir. Look at that. Who needs fuel injection? It's like a half a crank.
Obviously C10 Dave, man. He's got a fuel injection in the C10.
That's because he's got a gimp leg and he can't push on the gas pedal very good.
So the master mechanic was just saying off camera how this thing gets more attention than any car he's ever dealt with. And it's true, like even the Nova doesn't get any attention. That thing's bright orange and it's louder than this car. I wouldn't call the Nova loud, it's just louder. Well, I know some people would call it loud because some people really like to complain about the noise of it. But who am I to say that? I don't know. Maybe that's not you, maybe it is. Being that it gets so much attention, if we look at the first bulletin point, American Classic, how much does it stand out as an American Classic?
Chevy Impala is pretty up there. Not necessarily, well 62 is pretty up there, but Chevy Impala in general, it's pretty high. I give it, it's gotta be 7 or 8. It's gotta be up there.
That low?
Not low. Out of the 10?
Well, just think, there's hundreds of classic American cars. You got to put it pretty high if it's
And 8's pretty high.
I don't know. I would go more towards 9.
I definitely give it an 8. I think it's an 8.
All right, so let's hop on the freeway here. Man, you got to love California with these stupid lights that they have. And go. Cruising down the freeway and it drives good. Obviously, because it's a big car, it's gonna have, you know, more of a softer suspension to it. Even if the suspension's worn out, it's still gonna drive really nice. You know, the thing cruises really good, being that it's a 4-speed. You can go in the fast lane if you wanted to, or you can be low and slow. You can be in the slow lane, cruise 55 like the olden days. You know, you can do whatever you want. You have a 4-speed. It ain't no 72 Camaro by any means. It's no 65 Nova.
Yeah, but we can hang in the fast lane though. Keep up the traffic.
Yeah, we're in the fast lane right now. The speedo's inaccurate, so I don't know how fast we're going, but we're keeping up with California traffic. That's all that matters. It has decent power. You know, for what this car is intended, it has really good power. I think so. It has really good power. It drives really good.
Brakes work really good. Brakes are amazing.
Yeah,
the
disc brakes that we installed do really good. It stops really good.
Really good stopping power.
And the interior is nice and spacey. What do you think?
There's definitely a lot of room in a 62. I like the dash, how it's like driver friendly. It's laid back, it's right in your view, all the controls really close by. Definitely driver friendly. It's kind of like a Supra. It's like the Supra 62. It's all around you.
It's like your little cockpit.
It's not quite as fast.
Yeah. Well, you can make it fast.
Yeah.
But not on a stock 327.
I've heard of a 62 that's kind of fast. Rumors of one. Somewhere long ago.
And now to give it a ZHP score.
I'm ready.
Starting off with number 1 being an American classic. This is one of the most iconic American cars ever made, the Chevy Impala, and 62 is definitely, I would say, in the top 3 for one of the best Chevy Impalas. There's so much history with this car being in rap music and all sorts of other communities throughout the years, so I give it a 9 out of 10 while the Master Mechanic gives it a measly mediocre 8 out of 10, which you can let me know down in the comments below what you think of that. The drivability, you get in this thing, you give it one pump to the floor, crank the key, this thing turns right on. This has great drivability for being a carbureted car, and not to mention the trunk alone can fit a family of 4 and probably 10 hamsters all at the same time inside of it, and that definitely helps for the drivability of this. If it was my only car to drive and I could drive this every single day, I definitely would. You just absolutely can't go wrong with it, and it gets a 9 out of 10. The suspension is a little bit worn out, and it definitely shows when you drive it down the road and turn it. And if you try and take an STI in a corner, that STI might be taking you in the corner. This thing turns like a big boat, pretty much. And it gets a 5 out of 10. Moving on to the interior of the car. The interior has a very nice classic feel to it, with it being the stock seats, has the stock radio, the dash isn't cut in any sort of way. Even the gauges that we replaced in the middle are very nice and classic looking, and there's plenty of space for passengers to get into the back seat of the car. All you have to do is just flip down the seat, get right back here, and even for me, being as tall as I am, I fit back there pretty good. And the interior gets an 8 out of 10. And last but not least, performance. Obviously, this is a stock 327 and it's not going to be crazy, but for what this car is intended, it is a really good performance level for it, and it is the perfect cruiser. If you want to go drive down by the beach, man, there's nothing much more to say about that. That's like the perfect lifestyle for this kind of car. But we did get passed by an STI getting on the freeway, so I guess, yeah, that's that. Yeah. So unfortunately, it gets a 6 out of 10 for performance, bringing it to a total of 37 out of 50 for the ZHP score.
So we mentioned prior, I don't know when, one of the videos or something, that we're going to add the fender skirts to the car. We didn't wind up adding them because it's a little more than I wanted to get into. It's not really my wheelhouse. This car has been painted at some point in time, and somebody filled the back of the wheel well, the lip, with a Bondo or something, a Marglass, fiberglass, something, and they filled it solid, and the lip is where the fender skirts would attach to. You can see that this is designed to hook, so this would hook over the lip of the wheel well, and it would tighten down, and this would hold the fender skirt to the car, and that's the lip that I was telling you. It's been filled in. Somebody did a repair. Sure that somebody else, whoever did the repair, probably thought that was the right way to do it. And you can see that this is supposed to go up and hook on, those clamps go on here, then this goes up and catches that lip of the wheel well and clamps it on, but that lip has been filled in, like I said. So I'm not going to get into the, I'm not a body man, so I'm not going to get into the fender skirts installing, so we'll have to take that to a body shop and have them do that. And I just want to show this when we changed the transmission, or we changed the column, went to a cable operated shifter, so we got rid of the whole mechanical linkage. And whoever put the 700 in there, this is their linkage set up here. It looks like they use a torch and a bronzing rod, maybe a coat hanger or something to get the linkage set up. And this thing was like maxed out. It was barely even grabbing at the steering, at the column, the linkage at the column. So we did away with that. So now it's like a floor shifter cables. You can adjust it nice and accurately and solid and lines up with all the detents and everything on the column. So that's really a trick. So
we are here with the owner of the 62 Impala, and we're gonna get his take on his experience here at ZHP. So check it out.
All right, so we're here with Mark, the owner of the 62 Impala, and I thought this whole experience was kind of interesting. I want Mark to explain. So how did you find us initially?
I was searching around on YouTube, and I just came across you, and I started looking at the earlier videos you guys was putting on, you guys was putting down. So the thing that caught me, that caught my eye, that caught everything was the spirit behind it. What you was doing and how you was doing it was so, because I look at a lot of car videos,
right.
You know what I mean? I look at a whole lot of videos, but the spirit behind how you worked on the cars, the detail of the work, the craftsmanship of the work just jumped out at me, because I knew you enjoyed it. And I look at a lot of different videos, and I look at a lot of different car videos, engine, and you can tell people they just throwing it together. Right. They may have the knowledge, but they just throwing it together. It wasn't no enthusiasm behind it. So when I looked at your videos, it just jumped out at me. The spirit jumped out at me. It grabbed me. The way you was doing it, the enjoyment that you did it with, the craftsmanship, most of all, that's what caught me, man. I said, well, let me look on Instagram. I found you guys on Instagram. I said, let me gamble with this and send a message. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I knew it wasn't gonna happen. I said, well, I said these guys are too big, man. He ain't gonna mess with me, man. And
what happened?
So I sent you a message, and you got back at me. You know what I mean? And then we set up a time. You said you'd come out and look at the car, man, and pick the car up. And it just worked.
So that day that was gonna come out, we decided to come out and pick up the car. What did you think was gonna happen?
I thought it was BS. I didn't think you was. I didn't think you was gonna come, man. You know what I mean? I'm telling you the truth. I didn't think you was gonna come, but you told me to be there. We agreed on the time. I got there. You guys pulled up, and with the big camper, and the big, I said, that's them. I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? It was like, damn, are they really here? I'm like,
so
right.
We get there. He gets out of the car. He's like, man, you showed up.
You showed up.
He's like, I didn't think you were gonna. He's like, I just came down here. I was gonna wait for an hour or something. I didn't think you guys were gonna be here.
I couldn't believe it. This is how much these guys drew me. You know what I'm saying? The ZHP. It was like meeting the superstar. You know what I mean? Like, damn, he go to superstars. You know what I mean? I can't believe they're here. You know what I mean? So it was a surreal moment, man, for me. For you guys to come out, man, and just be honest and get right back at me on Instagram with the messages, man, and I appreciate that, man.
So after all that, they blew me away because we get there. I don't know you from Adam.
Right.
The first time I met you,
right.
Talked to you a couple times over text. Gives me his car, we take his car.
I'm saying, I'm embarrassed.
and a pile of parts. You even give me a couple of dollars. So I get you money. I got your pile of parts in your car. I only known this guy for a couple hours. Unreal. Blew me away.
You know, when you dealing with people, man, I'm a spiritual man. You know what I mean? And so when you guys came, man, you know, the spirit jumped out at me. And I knew it was right.
Yeah,
you know what I
mess
mean?
around.
Yeah, I knew it was right. You know, and we did it like old school people do it. You know, it was a handshake.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wasn't
Right.
no paperwork. This didn't happen with no paperwork, people. No paperwork, no nothing. It was a handshake. And then, last but not least, I didn't even know where the hell the car was going.
Right, yeah.
I just, look, I shook his hand, hand him some money, man, and they just going whisked off with my car. Like,
Yeah, you didn't know
damn.
where we're taking it to.
I didn't know where we were taking it to, and I didn't know where it was for a long time, and I didn't ask. Yeah, every time I called and I contacted, he you know, you
Yeah,
called me right
yeah,
back,
response
man.
right
So
away.
right away, you know what I mean? And from there, it just steamrolled into one thing to another. Hey, John, could you do this? Could you do this? Could you do that? I was scared to ask, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it steamrolled from one situation to another.
As
man.
you can see from all the different videos, what
Right.
the car turned into.
Right, it turned into a whole big old bill.
I mean,
man.
I am a little slow, but I mean, we did add a couple of things to it.
But it's worth it.
Yeah,
You know,
but
was-
it turned out really trick, I think.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah.
And then also, like I said, ZHP Garage went behind other people's bad work that I paid for that wasn't right and corrected that. And I'm most appreciative to that, man. You know what I mean? So the honesty, the pureness, the craftsmanship, the weight, I wasn't worried about it. I was just happy that it was in somebody's hands that knew what they was doing, that loved what they was doing, and that took pride in what they was doing. Beautiful thing. I mean, hands down, ZHP Garage, man, is the best in the business.
There you go.
Best in the business,
You heard-
man.
you heard
I'm
it
telling
from the
y'all,
man.
look,
You heard it from
I'm
the
here to
man.
pick my car, but I'm finna get across this freeway, man, from San Diego all the way back to Los Angeles. You know,
What are you, about 100 miles out?
500 miles out, man.
Yeah, so he came
At least 100
cold
miles
turkey.
out.
He's getting into a 62 Impala.
Right.
He's gonna drive it 100 miles after we worked
100
on it.
miles out, you know, with some AC blowing, you know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of warm and great California weather, you know what I'm saying? The beachfront on the way back up the 5 freeway, hey, you know, what else can you ask for, man? In the 62 Impala, man, that's the American muscle, right? What else can you ask for?
It don't get much better than that.
It don't get much better than that. So hands down, ZHP Garage, man, it's the best in the business, man. So hey, you better get on your phone and tap in. Tap in.
They hit the Instagram messaging.
That's it. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot,
Thank
man.
you.
And I want you to know, we didn't pay him to say that. All right, there it goes, off into the sunset, or into the daylight. I think it'll be back in due time. For a good amount of time, he's gonna be enjoying it. He's gonna be driving it down the coast,
Cruising the beach.
and you know, living the California lifestyle. So if you enjoyed the whole series on the 62 Impala, hit the subscribe button down below. Stay tuned for the other stuff we got coming up on another 62 Biscayne, 55 Chevy, 67 Camaro, C10s,
Don't forget about the trucks.
67 C10, 68 C10. We got a lot, man. You stay tuned.
Come on back.